Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Acoustic Review channel. Be sure to check out the link in the description for a special offer you won't want to miss.
Sounds good.
Today, we're going to be diving into a really fascinating program called The Obsession Method by Kate Spring.
Okay.
Now, this is a dating guide aimed specifically at men, and it makes some pretty bold claims about helping you guys understand and attract women.
Interesting.
We're going to unpack all of that today so you can decide if it's something you want to explore further. What really caught my eye was the language Spring uses.
Okay.
She talks about things like hacking attraction and creating an unbreakable bond. It definitely piqued my curiosity.
It's certainly attention-grabbing. What's interesting is how the program taps into that desire for a shortcut, a kind of secret formula for success in dating.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful motivator for a lot of people.
So before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's give our listener a quick overview of what the obsession method actually entails.
Okay.
What do we have here?
Well, it's a pretty comprehensive program. It includes a 28-video series, a lengthy ebook, and 3 bonus ebooks focusing on specific areas like initiating contact, texting, and mastering what Spring calls sexual conversations.
Wow. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here.
There is.
That's a lot of content. It almost feels a little overwhelming.
It is.
But I'm sure we can help our listeners sift through it all and find those golden nuggets.
Now, another thing that struck me was just how confident Kate Spring is in her approach. She promises to turn any man into a great catch using her methods. So let's talk a bit about her background. Who is this woman, and what makes her such an expert on attraction?
Okay, so according to the materials we have, Kate Spring is a dating coach, best-selling author, and regular contributor to several relationship advice platforms. She's based in Vancouver and holds a BA from the University of Victoria.
Interesting. So she's definitely got experience in the dating and relationship space. But I'm curious, is there any information about her specific qualifications as a dating coach? Did she study psychology or counseling? What's her track record like? That's a great question. Unfortunately, those details aren't explicitly provided in the materials. So we have to rely on the content itself and her overall presentation to assess her credibility.
Right. It's always good to be a little discerning when it comes to dating advice. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt for now and dive into the heart of the obsession method.
Okay, sounds good.
What are some of the key techniques Spring highlights?
Well, one of the most intriguing techniques is called story mode.
Okay.
Spring believes that storytelling is an incredibly powerful tool for building connection and attraction.
Ooh, I love a good story. But how does she use storytelling in the context of dating?
She argues that well-crafted stories can plant seeds in a woman's subconscious, triggering specific emotions and desires.
Interesting.
It's all about evoking those feelings of intrigue and connection through carefully chosen narratives.
That's fascinating. I can see how a captivating story could really draw someone in and make them feel a sense of connection with the storyteller. It's like you're sharing a piece of yourself and inviting the other person into your world.
Yeah.
But how does she suggest actually using this technique in a dating context?
Spring provides specific story templates and prompts designed to evoke those desired emotions. It's about crafting narratives that highlight your best qualities, create a sense of mystery, and leave her wanting more.
Okay, so it's not just about telling any random story. It's about being strategic and intentional with your narratives. I can see how that could be really effective.
Exactly. It's about understanding the psychology of storytelling and using it to your advantage in the dating game.
This is getting really interesting. I'm starting to see how Spring's methods could be incredibly powerful. And if our listeners are already intrigued by what they're hearing, I want to remind them to click that link in the description to learn more about the obsession method.
Great idea.
Don't miss out on this opportunity to take your dating game to the next level. Now let's move on to another technique that caught my eye. Which one should we go with next?
All right, the next one we'll explore is called precision tactics. This technique is all about timing and observation.
Okay, tell me more.
Spring argues that there are specific moments in an interaction where a man can make his move, ask for a date, or escalate things physically, all without risking rejection.
So it's about reading the signs and seizing the opportunity at the right moment. I can see how mastering that could be a game changer in dating.
Exactly. Spring provides detailed guidance on how to read a woman's body language, decode her verbal cues, and identify those windows of opportunity where your advances are most likely to be welcomed.
Wow, that's pretty insightful. I imagine this technique requires a lot of attentiveness and a keen eye for detail.
It does. But Spring believes that by mastering these subtle cues, you can dramatically increase your success rate in dating and avoid those awkward moments of rejection.
That's a pretty appealing promise, especially for guys who struggle with confidence or fear of rejection.
Mm.
Now let's delve into another technique that piqued my interest: body messages.
This one is all about the power of nonverbal communication. Spring argues that your body language can speak volumes, even before you utter a single word.
I can definitely see that. Sometimes a look or a touch can be more powerful than words. But how does Spring suggest using body language to create attraction?
She emphasizes the importance of confident posture, strong eye contact, and subtle touches that build sexual tension. She even provides specific tips on how to use your body language to create a sense of mystery and intrigue.
Interesting. So it's not just about looking good, it's about using your body language strategically to communicate confidence and desire.
Exactly. It's about sending those nonverbal cues that make her feel seen, desired, and intrigued.
Okay, so we've got story mode, precision tactics, and body messages. What other techniques does Spring highlight in the obsession method?
Let's move on to unstoppable pickup. This technique is designed to help men overcome the fear and anxiety that often comes with approaching women.
That's something I think a lot of guys can relate to. Approaching someone you're attracted to can be incredibly nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. Spring acknowledges that fear and provides practical strategies for building confidence and overcoming those mental blocks.
And what's her secret weapon for unstoppable pickup?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of mindset. She believes that you need to approach every interaction with a positive attitude and a belief in yourself. She also provides specific tips on how to initiate conversations, project confidence, and make a memorable first impression.
Okay, so it's a combination of inner work and practical strategies. I could see how that could be really empowering for guys who struggle with approaching women.
Exactly. Spring believes that anyone can become an unstoppable pickup artist with the right mindset and the right tools.
That's a pretty bold claim, but I'm starting to see how our methods could really work. And speaking of working, let's move on to another technique that caught my eye. Turn her on. This one seems pretty self-explanatory, but I'm curious to hear how Spring approaches this aspect of dating.
Well, Turn Her On is all about creating intense attraction and desire. Spring believes that every woman has a secret trigger that, once activated, can unlock a deep level of passion and connection.
Okay, that sounds intriguing, but how do you find that secret trigger?
Spring provides a series of steps and techniques designed to build anticipation, create a sense of mystery, and tap into a woman's deepest desires. She emphasizes the importance of being playful, teasing, and pushing the boundaries in a way that feels exciting and empowering for both people.
So it's about creating that spark and building up the sexual tension in a way that feels playful and consensual.
Exactly. Spring believes that seduction is an art form, and she provides a framework for mastering that art.
This is getting really juicy. It seems like the obsession method goes way beyond your typical dating advice. It's almost like a psychological deep dive into female desire.
It definitely goes deeper than surface-level tips and tricks. Spring attempts to uncover the underlying psychological principles that drive attraction and connection.
And I think that's what makes his program so fascinating. It's not just about getting a date. It's about understanding the complexities of female psychology and using that knowledge to build deeper, more meaningful connections.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond those superficial dating games and tapping into a more primal, instinctual level of attraction.
All right, so we've covered story mode, precision tactics, body messages, unstoppable pickup, and turn her on. What other techniques does Spring have up her sleeve?
Let's explore desire protocol. This technique is all about creating a profound level of desire that goes beyond superficial attraction.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Spring argues that most men make the mistake of focusing on the physical aspects of attraction, neglecting the emotional and psychological components that create lasting desire.
So it's not just about looks, it's about creating a deeper emotional connection.
Exactly. Spring provides a framework for building that emotional connection, fostering intimacy, and creating a sense of obsessive desire in a woman.
Wow. Obsessive desire sounds pretty intense. What are some of the key elements of this desire protocol?
Well, Spring emphasizes the importance of vulnerability, emotional honesty, and creating a sense of shared experience.
Hmm.
She believes that by opening yourself up and allowing a woman to see your true self, you create a powerful bond that transcends superficial attraction.
That's a really interesting concept. It's almost counterintuitive to think that vulnerability could be the key to creating intense desire.
It is. But Spring argues that when a woman feels like she truly knows and understands you on a deep level, it creates a powerful sense of intimacy and connection that fuels desire.
Okay, so it's about building trust, creating a safe space for emotional intimacy, and allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are. I can see how that could be incredibly powerful.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond the surface and connecting on a soul level.
This is getting really deep. I'm starting to see how the obsession method goes beyond just getting the girl. It's almost like a guide to building authentic soul-level connections.
I think that's a great way to put it. Spring attempts to provide a roadmap for creating relationships that are based on genuine connection, shared values, and deep emotional intimacy.
This is definitely a lot to digest, but I'm finding it incredibly fascinating, and I'm sure our listener is too. Before we move on to the next section, I want to remind everyone to check out that link in the description for a special offer on the obsession method.
Great idea.
You won't want to miss out on this opportunity to learn more about Spring's techniques and start building those deeper, more meaningful connections.
Absolutely.
Now back to the program itself. We've covered story mode, precision tactics, body messages, unstoppable pickup, turn her on, and desire protocol. Phew. That's a lot to take in. What other techniques does Spring have in store for us?
Let's delve into one that's sure to pique your curiosity. Subliminal threes.
Ooh, that sounds a little mysterious. I'm all ears. What are subliminal threes all about?
This technique taps into the power of subtle, nonverbal cues to influence a woman's subconscious mind. Spring believes that you can plant ideas and trigger specific emotions through carefully calibrated body language, eye contact, and even the way you touch her.
Wow, that sounds almost like mind control. Is it even possible to influence someone's behavior without them being consciously aware of it?
It's a fascinating area of study. Spring draws on research in subliminal messaging and nonverbal communication to develop this technique.
So it's not just some random theory. She's actually grounding her approach in scientific research. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And while the concept of subliminal influence might seem a little unsettling at first, Spring emphasizes that her methods are ethical and designed to create positive, consensual connections.
Okay, that's reassuring. But I'm still curious about the specifics. How does she suggest using these subliminal threes to create attraction?
Well, she provides specific examples of body language cues, eye contact patterns, and subtle touches that can trigger feelings of desire and connection in a woman's subconscious mind.
So it's all about those subtle, almost imperceptible signals that bypass her conscious awareness and tap into a deeper level of attraction.
Exactly. Spring believes that by mastering these subliminal threes, you can create a powerful magnetic pull that draws her to you on a subconscious level.
This is getting really intriguing. I'm starting to see how Spring's methods combine psychological insights with practical strategies to create a comprehensive approach to dating and attraction.
Absolutely. And it's that blend of science and strategy that sets the obsession method apart from other dating advice programs.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got story mode, precision tactics, body messages, unstoppable pickup, turn her on, desire protocol, and now subliminal threes. Whew, it's a lot to take in.
It is. But I think we've provided our listener with a good overview of the key techniques that Spring highlights in the obsession method.
Absolutely, and I'm sure our listeners are already starting to see the potential of these techniques. But before we move on, I want to remind everyone that there's a link in the description below where you can learn more about the obsession method and take advantage of a special offer just for our viewers.
Absolutely.
Don't miss out on this opportunity to upgrade your dating game and start building those deeper, more meaningful connections. Now back to the program itself. We've explored some pretty intense techniques so far, but there's one more we need to talk about. Text seduction.
Yes. Text seduction. This technique is all about crafting those irresistible text messages that keep her engaged, intrigued, and ultimately wanting more.
Okay, I can see how texting can be a powerful tool in the dating game. But what are Spring's big secrets for crafting those seduction texts?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of being playful, witty, and creating a sense of anticipation. She also provides specific text message templates and prompts designed to trigger those desired emotions and keep the conversation flowing.
So it's not just about sending random texts. It's about being strategic and intentional with your messaging.
Exactly. Spring believes that texting is an art form, and she provides a framework for mastering that art.
I can definitely see how mastering the art of text seduction could be a game changer in dating. especially in today's world where so much communication happens through text messages.
Absolutely. And Spring provides a roadmap for navigating the world of texting and using it to your advantage in the dating game.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with these individual techniques, but the obsession method doesn't just stop at getting the girl. It also delves into the realm of long-term relationships.
That's right. Spring dedicates a whole section to the marriage man, focusing on how to keep a woman interested, faithful, committed, and sexual in the long run.
Interesting. So she's not just about those initial sparks of attraction. She's also about building a foundation for a lasting, fulfilling relationship.
Exactly. Spring believes that the principles she outlines in the obsession method can be applied to all stages of a relationship, from the initial attraction phase to the long-term commitment phase.
Okay, so she's got you covered from that first date to the walk down the aisle. I'm really impressed with the comprehensiveness of this program.
It's definitely a deep dive into the world of dating and relationships, offering insights and strategies for every stage of the journey.
This has been an incredible overview of the obsession method. We've covered so much ground, and I'm sure our listener is already buzzing with ideas and insights. But before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I want to remind everyone about that special offer waiting for you in the description.
Great.
Click that link to learn more about the obsession method and start putting these powerful techniques into action.
Absolutely.
You won't want to miss out on this opportunity to upgrade your dating game and start building those deeper, more meaningful connections. Now back to the program itself.
All right, so we've laid out the framework of the obsession method. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and see how these techniques play out in real-life scenarios.
Yes, let's bring these concepts to life. I'm particularly curious about story mode. Do you have any examples of how Spring suggests using stories to create that spark of attraction?
Well, she gives an example of a story about a time you faced a challenge and overcame it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a grand adventure, even something simple. The key is to convey resilience, resourcefulness, and a bit of humor. These are qualities that psychologically signal you're someone who can handle whatever life throws your way.
Ah, so it's not just about bragging, it's about subtly showcasing those attractive qualities through a relatable story.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
It's about tapping into those universal desires for security and strength, but in a way that feels authentic and engaging, not boastful.
Okay, that makes sense. What about precision tactics? How does Spring suggest men use this technique to avoid those awkward moments of rejection?
She emphasizes paying attention to nonverbal cues. For example, if a woman is leaning in, making eye contact, and laughing at your jokes, those are green lights to maybe escalate the interaction. On the other hand, if she's closed off, looking away, or giving short answers, those are cues to maybe back off a bit.
So it's all about being attuned to her signals and responding accordingly. It's like a dance where you're both leading and following at the same time.
That's a great analogy. It's about being present, reading the subtle cues, and adjusting your approach based on her responses. It's not about forcing anything, it's about creating a flow where both people feel comfortable and engaged.
I like that. It feels more respectful and collaborative than some other dating advice out there.
Right. It's not about tricks or manipulation, it's about creating a connection that feels natural and authentic for both people.
Okay, let's move on to body messages. This one intrigues me because it's all about those nonverbal cues that can speak volumes. Does Spring give any specific examples of how to use body language to create attraction?
She talks about the importance of eye contact, not just glancing, but really holding her gaze for a few seconds longer than usual. Psychologically, this creates a sense of intimacy and connection. It shows you're confident and interested, but it also allows you to gauge her reaction.
Interesting. So it's about being bold, but also being respectful of her boundaries. If she looks away uncomfortably, to back off.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between assertiveness and sensitivity. And it's not just about eye contact, it's also about posture. Standing tall, shoulders, back head held high. These convey confidence and presence.
Okay, so it's about projecting an image of strength and confidence,
Yeah.
but also being mindful of how your actions are affecting her.
Right.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's about owning your space and presenting yourself in the best possible light, but also being attuned to her responses and adjusting your approach accordingly.
All right, let's tackle unstoppable pickup. What are some of Spring's key strategies for overcoming that fear of approaching women?
One technique she suggests is visualizing success. Before you even approach a woman, spend a few moments imagining the interaction going well. Picture yourself being confident, engaging, and making a positive impression.
So it's about mentally rehearsing the scenario and creating a positive expectation. That's a technique that athletes and performers use all the time.
Exactly. And it's just as effective in the dating world. By visualizing success, you're essentially priming your mind and body to act in a confident and attractive way.
I like that. It's about shifting your mindset from fear and self-doubt to confidence and self-assurance.
Absolutely. And spring also emphasizes the importance of practice.
Okay.
The more you approach women, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. It's like any skill. The more you practice, the better you get.
That makes sense. It's about stepping outside your comfort zone and building that muscle of confidence through repeated exposure.
Exactly. It's about challenging those limiting beliefs and proving to yourself that you can approach women with ease and confidence.
All right, let's move on to a technique that I'm sure a lot of listeners are curious about. Turn her on. Does Spring give any specific examples of how to create that spark of attraction and build sexual tension?
She talks of the power of touch, not in a creepy way, of course,
Right.
but a light touch on the arm, a playful nudge, or even just brushing against her accidentally. These can create a physical connection that ignites those sparks.
So it's about creating those subtle moments of physical contact that build anticipation and desire,
Yeah.
but it all comes down to consent and respecting her boundaries, right?
Absolutely. It's about being playful and flirty, but always being mindful of her comfort level and never pushing her beyond her limits.
Okay, so it's about finding that sweet spot between boldness and respect.
Exactly. And spring also emphasizes the importance of creating a sense of mystery.
Okay.
Don't reveal everything about yourself all at once. Hold back a little, keep her guessing, and let the anticipation build.
So it's about being a little bit elusive and creating that I want to know more feeling.
Exactly. It's about sparking her curiosity and keeping her engaged in the interaction.
Okay, let's delve into desire protocol. This technique seems to focus on building a deeper level of emotional connection. Does Spring give any specific examples of how to create that sense of intimacy and vulnerability?
She talks about the importance of sharing personal stories.
Okay.
Not just any stories, but stories that reveal your vulnerabilities, your fears, your dreams. By opening up and sharing those intimate details, you create a sense of trust and connection that's incredibly powerful.
Wow, that's pretty deep. It's almost counterintuitive to think that revealing your vulnerabilities could actually make you more attractive.
It is. But Spring argues that vulnerability is the key to true intimacy. When you allow yourself to be seen for who you truly are, flaws and all, it creates a bond that's far stronger than any superficial connection.
Okay, so it's about letting go of that need to be perfect and allowing yourself to be seen for who you really are.
Exactly. It's about embracing your imperfections and sharing them with the world.
All right, let's move on to a technique that sounds both intriguing and a little bit intimidating. Subliminal threes. Can you give us some specific examples of how Spring suggests using these subtle cues to influence a woman's subconscious mind?
One example she gives is mirroring her body language. If she leans in, you lean in. If she crosses her legs, you cross your legs. This creates a sense of rapport and connection on a subconscious level.
So it's about subtly synchronizing your movements with hers to create a sense of harmony and connection.
Exactly. It's a subtle but powerful way to build rapport and make her feel comfortable in your presence.
Okay, that makes sense. What other subliminal threes does Spring recommend?
She talks about the power of touch. Again, not in a creepy way, but a light touch on the arm, a gentle hand on her back as you lead her through a doorway, or even just brushing her hand accidentally as you reach for something. These subtle touches create a physical connection that can bypass her conscious awareness and spark those feelings of attraction.
Interesting. So it's about using touch in a way that feels natural and unobtrusive, but still creates a subconscious sense of connection and intimacy.
Exactly. It's about tapping into the power of touch to create a deeper level of connection without being overtly sexual or aggressive.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these subliminal threes can be incredibly effective when used with sensitivity and respect.
Absolutely. It's about using these subtle cues to create a subconscious sense of attraction and connection, but always being mindful of her boundaries and ensuring that your actions are welcomed and reciprocated.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about tech seduction. What are some of Spring's key strategies for crafting those irresistible text messages that keep a woman engaged and intrigued?
One technique she recommends is using humor.
Oh.
Send her a funny meme, a witty observation, or even just a silly joke. Humor is a great way to create a lighthearted connection and show her that you're fun to be around.
Okay, so it's about injecting some personality and playfulness into your texts. I could see how that would make you stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. It's about being memorable and making her smile. And spring also emphasizes the importance of asking open-ended questions. Instead of just sending a, hey, what's up text, ask her about something specific that she's interested in or something that you talked about on your last date.
So it's about showing that you're paying attention and that you're genuinely interested in getting to know her better.
Exactly. It's about creating a dialogue and making her feel like you're actually invested in the conversation.
I like that. It's about moving beyond those superficial exchanges and creating a real connection through meaningful conversation.
Right. It's about showing that you're not just looking for a hookup, you're looking for someone special to connect with on a deeper level.
Okay, we've explored some really intriguing techniques so far, but the obsession method doesn't just stop at those initial sparks of attraction. It also delves into the realm of long-term relationships.
That's right. Spring dedicates a whole section to the marriage man, focusing on how to keep a woman interested, faithful, committed, and sexual in the long run.
I'm curious to hear her perspective on this. Does she give any specific advice on how to maintain that spark and keep the relationship strong over time?
She emphasizes the importance of continuing to date your partner even after you're married.
Okay.
Plan regular date nights, surprise each other with thoughtful gestures, and make an effort to keep the romance alive.
So it's about making the relationship a priority and putting in the effort to keep things fresh and exciting.
Exactly. And spring also talks about the importance of communication. Make time to really talk to each other, share your thoughts and feelings, and listen attentively to your partner's perspective.
Okay, so it's about maintaining that open and honest communication that's so crucial for a healthy relationship.
Absolutely. And spring also emphasizes the importance of physical intimacy. Don't let the passion fizzle out. Make an effort to keep things spicy in the bedroom.
All right, so it's about keeping the romance alive, communicating openly, and nurturing that physical connection. Sound like solid advice to me.
It does. And spring provides a lot of practical tips and strategies for keeping the flame burning bright in a long-term relationship.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored Spring's techniques for creating attraction, building connection, and maintaining a strong, fulfilling relationship. What's your overall impression of the obsession method?
I think it's a program that offers a unique and intriguing perspective on dating and relationships. While some of the techniques might seem a little unconventional, I think Spring ultimately advocates for an approach that's based on authenticity, respect, and genuine connection.
I agree. And while some people might be skeptical of the idea of using techniques in dating, I think Spring's methods ultimately boil down to being more mindful, more intentional, and more attuned to the nuances of human interaction.
Absolutely. It's about understanding the psychology of attraction and using that knowledge to create connections that are deeper and more meaningful.
And I think that's something we can all benefit from, whether we're single and looking for love or already in a committed relationship.
Well said. I think Spring offers valuable insights that can help us all navigate the complex and often confusing world of dating and relationships.
This has been a fascinating exploration of the obsession method.
Yeah.
I'm sure our listeners are buzzing with ideas and insights. But before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone to check out that link in the description to learn more about the program and maybe even give it a try. You might be surprised at what you discover about yourself and the power of genuine connection.
It's definitely worth exploring, especially if you're looking to deepen your understanding of dating and relationships.
Absolutely. Now let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the obsession method with a final discussion on its overall value and potential impact. Stay tuned. All right, we're back. And this deep dive into the obsession method has been, well, a lot.
It has been a deep dive, that's for sure. Lots to think about.
Yeah, and we've gone over all these techniques and concepts Spring talks about, and it's all about helping men attract women, right?
Right, but I think what's important to remember is that it goes beyond just, those basic, tips and tricks.
Definitely. It's like she's trying to get at what's really going on under the surface.
Yeah.
Like what really makes those sparks fly between two people.
The psychology of it all.
Exactly. And it's not just about getting a date or even, taking things further than that. It's about, really getting how men and women interact and how to build something real.
Yeah, I think that's a key takeaway here. It's not just about seduction, but about building a connection with another person with respect.
I totally agree. And those are things that I think anyone can use, whether you're looking for a partner or you're already with someone. Spring gives you ways to make those connections even stronger, more fulfilling.
Absolutely. Being more mindful, I think that's a huge part of it. Being intentional in how you interact with people.
So as we wrap up here, what are your final thoughts? Do you think this program can really help men, find success in dating? in relationships.
I do, yeah. I mean, spring gives a lot of really interesting insights and practical things you can actually, do. But I mean, no book can like guarantee you'll find love.
Of course, of course. It all comes down to the person, right?
Right. It's about putting in the effort, wanting to build something good with someone else.
And one thing I think is important to say is Spring's methods, they can be powerful,
Hmm.
but they have to be used, the right way.
For sure. For sure. You have to be responsible, respect the other person always.
Absolutely. It's not about manipulating anyone
Yeah.
or controlling them. It's about understanding attraction and using that knowledge to build something that's good for both people.
Well said. Yeah.
So the obsession method, it's different. It gives you this whole new way of looking at dating and relationships. It helps you understand yourself better, understand women better, and, helps you build those strong connections that we all want.
And if you are looking to, improve your dating life, try something new, I do encourage you to check it out. You might be surprised by what you learn.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, don't forget, that link in the description will give you a special offer on the obsession method. While you're down there, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the Psychotic Review channel for more deep dives into programs just like this. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening.